Welcome to the Leverage Show. This is Brett Ingram. I love the movie The Karate Kid from the 1980s. Not that terrible remake, but the original one with Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita, Elizabeth Shue, and all the rest of the cast. You know, the movie itself is really amazing, and it's amazing to me for a lot of reasons. You know, one, just pure nostalgia. I mean, I grew up largely in that decade, and so it sort of hit close to home. But one of the things that I really liked about it in terms of, you know, just the movie itself is not everybody in it was a model. You know, they just had normal people. They seemed to really tap into what normal America, or at least middle class and working class America, was used to at that time and was like at that time. And so, you know, a lot of those things in there, if you grew up in that same sort of situation, you know that, you know, it was very real. It had a very real feel to it. It was not Hollywood in the way that a lot of movies are made now. Even when they cast ordinary people, they tend to be either extraordinarily good looking or they have some ridiculous lifestyle that makes no sense. Don't get me on a tangent on that. At any rate, the most important thing about it, though, in terms of what we want to talk about today, is that there are actually at least 3 excellent business lessons that we can learn from that movie. And they're things that you can use in your business today that will make a big difference for you. You know, the first is to have a mentor. You know, basically the main character in the story, Daniel, he doesn't have any ability to learn karate. He's trying to learn it out of books. He's trying to learn it at the local, you know, YMCA, where they're giving you free classes or classes that are really cheap. And while certainly those are valid ways to learn any new skill, whether it's karate, whether it's marketing, whether it's, you know, accounting and finance, or any other kind of discipline that you need to run a business, the fact of the matter is that's going to be a long road with a lot of trial and error. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to find stuff that in theory sounds good, and then when you try it, it doesn't work. If instead you go directly to a mentor who's been there, who's done that, and has already sort of evolved their way of thinking and their way of understanding how things work really in business, then you can get massive shortcuts and ridiculous results in a very short period of time. You know, Daniel basically becomes an expert in karate in just a matter of a couple of months by working under an expert who really knows how to teach him and how to coach him to develop the skills that he needs to develop. They're totally unconventional. They're not things that he ever would have learned in a traditional karate class, no less a book or anything else, but yet the instructor is able to get him to understand it in a way that he would never be able to do on his own in that short a period of time. So one of the main things that a mentor does for you is it compresses time when you have a mentor, and they let you get better results faster than you'd ever be able to get just by trial and error or trying to figure it all out on your own. So that's a really important lesson. You know, if you don't have a mentor in your business, if you don't have somebody who's a go-to resource for you as a sounding board for new ideas or for advice, it's something that you should really look into getting. Now, there are a couple ways to go about this. You know, you could pay somebody and be part of like a mastermind group, or, you know, pay somebody for their coaching or whatever. And that's certainly one way to go. But the other way is if you know anybody who's in any industry, it doesn't even need to be the same as yours. If they've built a business, building and running a business is a skill in and of itself, regardless of what industry, regardless of what niche that you're in. And so you can learn things from other people that have done it, even if they're in different lines of business. And getting a mentor is a really important thing to do. Now, the next thing is he teaches Daniel at one point, he tells him, you know, either do karate yes or do karate no. You know, don't do karate guess so. Because it's like, you know, if you're walking down the road, if you're on the left side, you're safe. If you're on the right side, you're safe. But if you're in the middle, get squashed like grape. And it's the same thing in business. You know, regardless of what business that you're in, regardless of what niche that you serve, or what customer base you have to be all in. The thing that you're doing, you have to be totally committed to. So you don't even think of obstacles as obstacles. It's just something that you need to bust through to keep moving, and you're going to keep on progressing no matter what happens. Because the thing that you need to understand is that you're competing against people that have that same desire, that have that same passion. So if you're lukewarm about what you're doing, if you're trying to drag yourself out of bed in the morning to go to the office, or to, go to your home office or whatever, the problem that you're going to run into is you're going to get, squashed like grape, because there's going to be people that are out there that live and breathe and eat what you're doing, and they love it. They're jumping out of bed in the morning. They barely want to sleep at night. Their head is spinning with all their ideas. Now, you might be thinking, well, yeah, sure, I'd be that way too, but my business is struggling, or I'm not doing too well right now. It doesn't really matter. The fact is, it's never going to change until you get that momentum going, until you get that passion and you get that commitment. If instead you're waiting for the results to turn around so you can be more committed, it's never going to work. So you've got to make that commitment. You've got to have that focus and be 100% all in on whatever it is you're doing. And if you find that that's not possible for you, then it's time to do some soul searching and find out what it is that would be that way for you. And that's where you need to be. If you need to make a career change, if you need to make a business change, a niche change, whatever it is you need to do, you've got to do it so you have this unlimited spring of sort of energy and creativity and momentum. And you have that when you come from a place of passion and come from a place of excitement about doing what you're doing. I love to do my Leverage show episodes every day. It's something that I think about all the time. What next thing can I share? What next breakthrough can I help somebody get? And it fuels me. And this isn't even really my business. This is just a tiny little thing that I do on the side, but I do it because I think it's really important. And I am passionate about being able to help you grow your business and get better results. So that's the second lesson. And then the third lesson, and believe me, there are more than three, but the third lesson that I think is really important to point out also is the idea of balance. And in the context of Karate Kid, he's basically talking about his girlfriend and these bad guys that don't like him and everything else. And he can't have balance with himself if he doesn't, face his fears and all that stuff. And that's, really good and useful and everything else in life. But how it pertains to business and how it is really important is you do need to take care of yourself. You do need to take care of your health. You do need to take care of your, emotions and your mental health, your psychological health, in addition to your physical health, in order to take care of your business. You are the engine that drives your business. If you're not driving it, then nobody else is. So if you don't take care of your own engine, if you don't eat relatively well, get the right amount of sleep, and keep yourself relatively healthy, eventually that engine is going to break down. And when that engine breaks down, your business breaks down, because it becomes very difficult to work. And I don't even mean a serious illness. I just mean on a day-to-day basis. You don't even need to be sick, okay? But if you're not taking care of yourself, you'll feel lethargic. You'll feel like you don't really want to work. You don't have a lot of energy. And some of that stuff comes from not taking care of yourself. If you're eating too much junk food, if you're not exercising, you're not getting out and about, not doing some things that are freeing for your body and your mind. You need to go for a run. You need to lift weights, go for a swim, take the dog for a walk, whatever it is you need to do to get out and clear your head. You need to go see a movie. You need to read a book that you're interested in. You need to sit around and do nothing for a while. Those things are all very important because they rejuvenate you and they take care of the engine that needs to take care of your business. And so it's very important that you have that balance, that you try to eat relatively well, that you try to sleep relatively well, that you take care of yourself, then you feel good about yourself, both physically but also emotionally. And when you feel good about yourself, you're able to give to others. You're able to give to your business. You're able to give to people that are in your life. And it will help you immensely in every aspect, from just the physical energy to do the things that you need to do, to your mindset, to how positive and creative you are versus being frustrated and negative all the time. Those things make a major difference in your life. And the busier you feel you are, the more important it is that you do it. I've had a lot of times in my life where I felt there's no way I could exercise. There's no way that I could do this or do that. I need to be in the trenches all the time. And what I found in retrospect is I actually was less productive during those times, even though it seems like I'd be more productive by being, there all the time. The reality of it is you have to unplug, you have to recharge. Then when you get back into it, you're that much more productive. So you'll actually become more productive by doing it. So those are 3 really important lessons from a fun, great movie from back in the 1980s. And, there's a lot of lessons that we can learn about our businesses everywhere in everyday life. And that's just one cool little example. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, share them with me at leverageshow.com. And until next time, make it happen.